Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. The 2022 Annual Stockholders Meeting of Megawide Construction Corporation shall begin at 2 o'clock p.m. Thank you.
We are engineering a first world Philippines. That is our mission. When everyone followed the same path in construction, we sought a different path to build with precast and other advanced technologies. The world said we had the worst airport. We built the first resort airport and strived to make it even friendlier. When people thought that all we had are third world bus terminals, we built a world-class land port facility. And when others deemed it impossible to deliver 10,000 classrooms and 5 underserved regions in Luzon, we found ways to work with communities and made it happen. This is who we are. We aspire to chase every possibility to transform our nation. Because if you have a vision to raise a nation, you better do it, first world. We are engineering a first world Philippines. That is our mission. When everyone followed the same path in construction, we sought a different path to build with precast and other advanced technologies. When the world said we had the worst airport, we built the first resort airport and strived to make it even friendlier. When people thought that all we had are third world bus terminals, we built a world-class land port facility. And when others deemed it impossible to deliver 10,000 classrooms and 5 underserved regions in Luzon, we found ways to work with communities and made it happen. This is who we are. We aspire to chase every possibility to transform our nation. Because if you have a vision to raise a nation, you better do it, first world.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 2022 Annual Stockholders Meeting, or ASM, of Megawide Construction Corporation. If you look at the right side of your screen, there is a chat box. Please state in if you can clearly hear and see us, or if you have any difficulty. Feel free to type in the chat box any comment or question you may have. We will address these during the question and answer portion of this ASM. We would also like to announce that Megawide's 2021 Annual Sustainability Report is now available online and may be accessed through a QR code as flashed on the screen. Now we begin by introducing our Board of Directors and Corporate Secretary. For those trying to join you, may also use the audience link. This was sent earlier to all those who have been invited to this ASM. Okay, again, we begin by introducing our Board of Directors and Corporate Secretary. First is Megawide's Chairman of the Board of Directors, Mr. Edgar B. Saavedra.
Hi, I'm Edgar Saavedra, Chairman of the Board of Directors, Chief Executive Officer, and President of Megawide. I'm currently at our office in San Juan City, joining this ASM using our video conferencing equipment. I have received the notice, agenda, and all the materials for this ASM. I also confirm that I can clearly hear and see all the other attendees.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next is Megawide's Vice Chairman of the Board of Directors, Mr. Manuel Louis B. Ferrer.
Good afternoon. I am Manuel Louis B. Ferrer, Vice Chairman of the Board of Directors and Executive Director for Infrastructure Development. I am currently at our office in San Juan City, joining this ASM using our video conference equipment. I have received the notice, agenda, and all the materials for this ASM. I also confirm that I can clearly hear and see all the other attendees.
Thank you, sir. May I now introduce Megawide's Director, Mr. Oliver Y. Tan.
Good afternoon. I am Oliver Y. Tan, Director of Megawide. I am currently at our office in San Juan City, joining this ASM using our video conferencing equipment. I have received the notice, agenda, and all the materials for this ASM. I also confirm that I can clearly hear and see all the other attendees.
Thank you, sir. May I now introduce Megawide Executive Director, Mr. Ramon H. Diaz.
Good afternoon. I'm Ramon Diaz, Director, Chief. I'm currently at our office joining this is a conclusion of the video conferencing and received all the materials. Clearly here.
Thank you, sir. May I now introduce Megawide's Independent Director, Mr. Celso P. Vivas.
Good afternoon. I am Celso Vivas, Independent Director of Megawide. I am currently at my residence in San Juan City, joining this annual stockholders meeting using my laptop. I have received the notice, agenda, and all other materials for this ASM. And I also confirm that I can clearly hear and see all the other attendees in this ASM. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We also acknowledge the other members of Megawide's Board of Directors, who are independent directors, retired Chief Justice Hilario G. Davide Jr. and Mr. Alfredo E. Pascual. Finally, we introduce Megawide's Corporate Secretary, Attorney Charlotte King.
I am Charlotte King, Corporate Secretary of Megawide. I am currently at our office in San Juan City, joining this ASM using our video conferencing equipment. I sent the notice, agenda, and all the materials for this ASM. I also confirm that I can clearly hear and see all the other attendees.
Thank you. We also acknowledge the presence of the representatives from Punong Bayan and Araulio, Megawide's external auditor. Let us now start with the Philippine National Anthem. Please stand. Thank you. Let us now proceed with the prayer. Almighty Father, we thank you for the gift each day to be with our Megawide family, for this is an opportunity to help improve the lives of our fellow Filipinos through our work in engineering and infrastructure. Humble our hearts as we start our work for the day. Allow us to handle each challenge guided by our shared values of malasakit, integrity, teamwork, community, innovation, and excellence. Continue to provide strength and guidance in every project we do. We pray that our facilities remain safe and that our products meet world-class standards for the benefit of our country and our countrymen. We commit and offer to you our mission that we will be an integral instrument in reshaping this country to become a first world Philippines. May it be your will to grant us more opportunities as we offer you the praise of work well done. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen. May we now call on our chairman, Mr. Saavedra, to begin our 2022 Annual Stockholders Meeting.
Good afternoon. I hereby call to order this 2022 Annual Stockholders Meeting of Megawide Construction Corporation. Thank you for joining us today. Now, please refer to the screen for the agenda of this meeting. I now call on our Corporate Secretary to certify that the notices were sent and that a quorum exists to conduct this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I certify that the notice and agenda for this ASM were sent to the stockholders of record as of May 13, 2022. To give you more details, the notice was immediately disclosed to the Philippine Stock Exchange, Inc. on February 4, 2022, upon its approval by the Board of Directors on the same date, and released in the PSE EDGE as a circular on February 7, 2022. The notice and agenda were published in the newspaper and website of the Manila Standard and the Philippine Daily Inquirer on June 7 and 8, 2022. Additionally, Megawide's annual report and information statement are available in the PSE EDGE and Megawide's website. The information statement and Megawide's website also contain the instructions on how stockholders may vote, submit their proxies, and participate in the ASM. All these were completed in compliance with the requirements of Megawide's bylaws, the revised corporation code, and the issuances of the Securities and Exchange Commission. Mr. Chairman, I also certify that we have a quorum to conduct this meeting. Given that the stockholders representing 70.63% of the outstanding capital stock of Megawide, or 1,422,067,344 shares, are participating in person, in absentia, or by proxy herein.
Ms. Secretary, can you discuss the voting procedure for this meeting?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the voting procedure for this ASM is as follows. First, all the stockholders of record at the close of business on May 13, 2022 were entitled to the notice and to vote for this meeting. Second, the amendment of the following Article 2nd of the Articles of Incorporation of Megawide and Article 2nd, Sections 1 to 7, and Article 3, Section 1H of the Bylaws of Megawide shall be decided by the affirmative vote of the stockholders representing at least 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock of Megawide. All other matters in the agenda shall be decided by a majority vote of the stockholders. The voting results shall be discussed with each agenda item. Third, the stockholders were given the opportunity to vote in absentia from June 8 to 23, 2022 through an online voting portal prepared by Megawide. Only the stockholders who were validated by Megawide stock transfer agent were allowed to vote in absentia. The stockholders were also permitted to submit proxy forms during the same period through electronic mail or personal service. Each of the votes cast in absentia and by proxy shall be considered cast for all of the shares of such stockholders. And finally, Megawide stock transfer agent tabulated the votes cast in absentia and by proxy, which were then confirmed by Megawide's external auditor.
Let us now proceed with the approval of the minutes of the Annual Stockholders Meeting held on June 30, 2021. I understand that copies of such minutes have been distributed and posted in Megawide's website.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
There is a motion duly made and seconded that the minutes of the June 30, 2021 Annual Stockholders Meeting be approved. Ms. Secretary, may we know the voting results of this matter?
Mr. Chairman, based on the votes cast, all of the shares present or represented in this meeting are in favor of approving the motion.
Considering that all of the votes made were for the approval of this agenda item, the motion is approved.
We shall now go to the chairman's address and president's report.
Economic crisis, natural calamities, and a destructive health pandemic. Megawide, your company, still stands strong. At the onset, we knew that things will not always work out as planned. Still, we saw opportunities amid difficulties, which helped develop our resiliency to thrive under different cycles. Now, we can ascertain that survival, together with the pursuit of a first world Philippines, takes much greater flexibility and tenacity. Although the last 2 years proved to be very difficult, with a prolonged pandemic, a nuisance legal case, and a devastating typhoon, we remain agile and relentless in completing our mission. With a managed situation and a more relaxed operating environment, the Philippine economy grew 5.7% in 2021 and the second fastest in the region. Construction was among the major drivers, rising 10% year on year. Against this backdrop, Megawide recorded 15.6 billion pesos revenues, 21% higher than the previous year. EBITDA likewise improved to 2.84 billion pesos. We took advantage of this momentum as our construction segment posted 32% higher revenues to 14.3 billion pesos, courtesy of a healthy and diverse order book at 60 billion pesos. Local aviation, on the other hand, remained severely affected. Tourism and airport operations were still hampered by limited travel, a result of the country having one of the longest and most stringent lockdowns in the world. Our airport business, through the Mactan Cebu International Airport, or MCIA, recorded a passenger volume of only 1.33 million from around 12.7 million pre-pandemic and delivered combined revenues of 599 million pesos from operations and merchandising. Land travel, meanwhile, proved to be vital during the health crisis. Our landport business, through the Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange, or PITX, saw a continued growth in passengers with eased land travel controls. As of December 2021, total passenger volume reached 80,000 daily on average, with a peak of 125,000 during the holiday rush, from a 65,000 average pre-COVID. However, increasing office vacancy rates offset the performance, resulting in revenues of 587 million pesos. The year was almost over when Typhoon Odette ravaged Cebu province. MCIA Terminal 1 was damaged while construction in Cebu sites stalled as debris blocked major roads and the supply chain. Our development of the carbon public market paused, but vendors in our undamaged facilities resumed selling immediately after the typhoon. Carbon became an oasis of food and other essentials when supermarkets were running out of stocks. Meanwhile, GMCAC immediately began restoring partial operations in Terminal 1 as it served as shelter for standard travelers. With generators, it was a beacon in the midst of the blackout. So nearby residents also stayed in our airport village to charge their mobile phones and use toilet facilities for free. These challenges drove us towards a stronger economic, environmental, social, and governance agenda. Under economic, we distributed our aggregate value equitably among our stakeholders to repay their confidence and seek their continued support. For environment, we expanded and managed our footprint across all operations. Our goal is a net zero carbon future, focusing on resource management and conservation. Through Megawide Foundation, we also provided financial and educational assistance to host communities, delivered goods, and initiated cleanup drives. We also strengthened our resistance against the pandemic through constant testing and strict health protocols, which went hand in hand with digitalization and process improvements. Finally, we advocated the highest level of governance across the organization, resulting in a score of 102.2 points from 98.5 the previous year in our Asian Corporate Governance Scorecard. We are aware, however, that strengthening our corporate resistance must be complemented by a proactive business strategy.
seize opportunities in the next normal. With several factors affecting 2021 performance, we identified cycle-resilient segments aligned with our long-term vision. Our pivot to infrastructure continued with progress in the Malolos-Clark Railway project and the Aglipay sewage treatment plant. We believe that infrastructure development is sustainable amid different cycles and will remain a priority under the new administration. From less than 5% pre-pandemic, infrastructure share in our order book has grown to 17% as of 2021. We intend to increase this further as we book more big-ticket items, such as Metro Manila Subway project, and hopefully other government rail packages. We are also optimistic with the airport's recovery as revenge travel gains momentum. In the fourth quarter of 2021, monthly passenger volume averaged 191,000 compared with 84,000 in the first 9 months, largely from domestic traffic. International numbers are expected to be boosted by European and Middle Eastern tourists as we welcome Turkish Airlines and the return of Emirates, which will augment our traditional Asian tourist base. For the land port, we are convinced that PITX model is scalable to improve inter and intra-island connectivity in our country. We are actively exploring multiple locations with a long-term goal of developing a hub and spoke model with PITX at the center. We are also developing P2P routes as far as Visayas and Mindanao regions to serve more commuters in the southern part of the Philippines. The ongoing revitalization of Cebu's historic Carbon District is also very exciting. Carbon is a staple source of food and other products to the province, aside from being a 100-year-old heritage site. However, years of rapid expansion have led to numerous issues in sanitation, poor facilities, and criminality. We believe that proper infrastructure and administrative improvements can develop the district into a true symbol of Cebu heritage and a vital component in its ecosystem. Moving forward, we hope to bring Megawide's brand of urban renewal to other areas as we explore other Cebu City public markets. During the last 12 months, our collective resolve as a company was challenged in an unprecedented way, and our purpose as an organization was questioned. Despite our losses this year, we stayed true to our values. Integrity, malasakit, and community kept us going. That made us relentless in pursuit of our vision for inclusive development. The journey has not been easy, and we thank you for keeping us going through 2021 and another quarter of a century of engineering a first world Philippines.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let us now proceed with the next agenda item.
The next item of the agenda is the election of directors.
Mr. Chairman, Megawide's Governance, Nominations, and Compensation Committee has submitted the final list of 6 nominees found to be qualified for election as members of the Board of Directors of Megawide, who are Mr. Edgar B. Saavedra as an Executive Director, Mr. Manuel Louis B. Ferrer as an Executive Director, Mr. Ramon H. Diaz as an Executive Director, Mr. Oliver Y. Tan as a Non-Executive Director, former Chief Justice Hilario G. Davide Jr. as an Independent Director, and Mr. Celso P. Vivas as an Independent Director. The foregoing list includes two nominees found to be qualified for election as independent directors in compliance with the requirements of the relevant laws, rules, and regulations for publicly listed companies.
Mr. Chairman, I am Christine Gonzaga, proxy for stockholder Lucena Bangolan. I move that the 6 nominees be deemed elected as directors for the ensuing year.
Mr. Chairman, I am Stephanie Chua, proxy for D. Haji Herrera. I second the motion.
There is a motion duly made and seconded for the election of the nominees mentioned. As the members of the Board of Directors, Ms. Secretary, please tell us the votes results of this matter.
Mr. Chairman, the results of the election of the members of the Board of Directors are being flashed on the screen. A majority of the stockholders who are present or are being represented in this meeting have approved the election of the 6 nominees as members of the Board of Directors for the ensuing year.
Mr. Chairman, I am Christine Gonzaga.
The motion is passed. The elected members of the Board of Directors for 2022 are shown on the screen. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the company's audited financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2021. I understand that the audited financial statement have been distributed with the annual report information statement disclosed in the PSE Edge and posted in Megawide's website.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I am Christine Gonzaga, proxy for stockholder Lucena Bangolan. I move that the Megawide's financial statements for the year ended December 31, 2021, as audited by Punong Bayan and Arroyo, be approved.
Mr. Chairman, I am Stephanie Chua, proxy for D. Haji Herrera. I second the motion.
There is a motion duly made and seconded for the approval of the audited financial statements of Megawide for the year ended December 31, 2021. Ms. Secretary, may we know the voting results of this matter?
Mr. Chairman, based on the votes cast, all of the stockholders who are present or are represented in this meeting are in approval of this agenda item.
The motion is approved. The next item of the agenda is the appointment of the external auditor. Upon the recommendation of Megawide's Audit and Compliance Committee, the Board of Directors proposed that Punong Bayan and Araulo be appointed as the external auditor.
Mr. Chairman, I am Christine Gonzaga, proxy for stockholder Lucena Bangolan. I move to appoint Punong Bayan and Arroyo as the external auditor of Megawide.
Mr. Chairman, I am Stephanie Chua, proxy for D. Haji Herrera. I second the motion.
There is a motion duly made and seconded for the appointment of Punong Bayan and Araulo as the external auditor of Megawide. Ms. Secretary, may we know the voting results of this matter?
Mr. Chairman, based on the votes cast, all of the stockholders who are present or are represented in this meeting have approved this agenda item.
The motion is approved. The next item of the agenda is the approval of the amendment of the second of the articles of incorporations of Megawide.
Mr. Chairman, the proposed amendments are intended to remove the development of real estate and the purposes of Megawide, given that Megawide does not engage in the said business. The proposed amendments to the Articles of Incorporation of Megawide are shown on the screen and disclosed in the information statement.
Mr. Chairman, Christine Gonzaga, proxy for stockholder Lucena Bangolan. I move to approve the amendment of the Articles of Incorporation of Megawide to expressly remove the development of real estate in the purposes of Megawide.
Mr. Chairman, I am Stephanie Chua, proxy for D. Haji Herrera. I second the motion.
There is a motion duly made and seconded for the amendment of the Articles of Incorporations of Megawide. Ms. Secretary, may we know the voting results of this matter?
Mr. Chairman, Based on the votes cast, more than 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock of Megawide is in favor of this motion.
The motion is approved. The next item of the agenda is the approval of the amendments of by the bylaws of Megawide.
Mr. Chairman, the amendments is extended to align Megawide's bylaws with the provisions of the Revised Corporation Code and SEC Memorandum Circular Number 6 Series of 2020. The specific amendments are listed and shown on the screen and disclosed in the information statement.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Christine Gonzaga, proxy for stockholder Lucena Bongolan. I move to approve the amendment of the bylaws of Megawide.
Mr. Chairman, I am Stephanie Chua, proxy for D. Haji Herrera. I second the motion.
There is a motion duly made and seconded for the amendments of the bylaws of Megawide. Ms. Secretary, may we know the voting results of this matter?
Mr. Chairman, based on the votes cast, more than 2/3 of the outstanding capital stock of Megawide is in favor of this motion.
Motion is approved. Next item, the next agenda is the ratification of all acts of the Board of Directors and Management.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Christine Gonzaga, proxy for stockholder Lucena Bongolan. I move that all acts of the Board of Directors and Management be ratified.
Mr. Chairman, I am Stephanie Chua, proxy for D. Haji Herrera, and I second the motion.
There is a motion duly made and seconded, ratification of all acts of the Board of Directors and Management. Ms. Secretary, may we know the voting results of this matter?
Mr. Chairman, based on the votes cast, majority of the stockholders who are present or are represented in this meeting have approved this agenda item.
The motion is approved. Are there other matters to take up?
At this point, we want to take a moment to recognize the movements in our board of directors. Mr. Alfredo Pascual was elected to the board in October 2018, a crucial time for Megawide as we were building up our new vision to engineer a first world Philippines. He now leaves our board after serving almost 4 years as an independent director. With his vast experience and knowledge, he helped guide us through some of the most exciting and challenging years that the company has faced, including the COVID-19 pandemic. He served as an indispensable member of the board in various capacities. Director Fred, thank you for your contributions to Megawide's success and your steadfast belief in times of difficulty. Megawide will continue to support endeavors towards inclusive growth by the Philippine government, and we wish you all the best as you take on a much larger role in engineering the future of our economy. So the gift you are now seeing in front in the video is a memorabilia of a hard hat from Megawide that will be given to our outgoing director, Director Alfredo Pascual. Let us now move on to our question and answer portion. To our audience, please enter your questions in the chat box in the right side of your screens. Questions will be entertained on a first-come, first-served basis. For good order, please state your name and affiliation. We request everyone to limit your questions to one main question and one follow-up question. Thank you. Meantime, we received the following questions from our shareholders for this annual stockholders meeting. The first question, which will be answered by our chairman, is how many employees have been administered COVID-19 vaccines that the company bought? Please indicate the number of vaccines per brand and how many were vaccinated. Thank you.
Well, we have vaccinated more than 95% of our employees, both from our purchased vaccines and those from LGUs, various brands. We also extended the vaccination to our subcontractors through the help of LGUs.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This question is also directed to you. So since the passage of the amendments to the Retail Trade Liberalization Act, the Foreign Investment Act, and the Public Services Act, what implications will this have for customer service and the company's overall performance in the coming years?
We welcome the passage of this legislation to enhance and commence and boost our economic activities in the country. Specifically, these moves are intended to attract more foreign investors to the Philippines, which we believe will have several benefits for the country. One, foreign capital can help the country secure funding for various businesses and projects. Also, this will improve the services and create a healthier, competitive environment in key areas and sectors.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next question. The company last March 29, 2022 said that the respondents had filed a motion to quash the anti-dummy law case, citing newly signed Republic Act number 11659, or the amended Public Services Act, cited as moot and academic. May we know the status of the case? This question will be answered by our Chief Legal Officer, Compliance Officer, and Data Protection Officer, Attorney Raymond J. S. Gomez.
Good afternoon, everyone. Last March 27, 2022, we received an order from the court dated June 14, 2022, dismissing the case for the violation of anti-dummy law filed against our directors. This arose from the filing of the defense of the motion to quash information, which the court readily granted. As you are all aware, last March 2022, the Public Service Act was amended. And in that amendment, airport operations was excluded in the definition of a public utility, thereby removing the nationality restrictions on airport operations. This also means that the anti-dummy law shall no longer apply. So in view of this, the defense filed a motion to quash, which I have already mentioned. Good news for all of us, that the case was dismissed by the Regional Trial Court of Cebu, of Lapu-Lapu City.
Thank you, Attorney Gomez. The next question is, since the government opened its borders to foreign tourists on February 10, how many local and international passengers have been affected between February 10 and this week? May we request our Vice Chairman, Mr. Louis Ferrer, who is Director and President of GMR Megawide Cebu Airport Corporation, will please answer this question.
Thank you, Jason. As shown on the screen, actually, total passengers at MCIA started to grow as early as the fourth quarter of 2021, with 191,000 monthly average during the months of October to December, from only 84,000 monthly average during the months of January to September. For the first quarter of 2022, passenger volume has tripled compared to the first quarter of 2021. And in our first 5 months of this year, total passenger volume already exceeded the whole of 2021, which we expect to be sustained for the rest of the year.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. The next question is, what are the attractions, recreation areas, and commercial activities that have already been introduced in the Mactan Cebu International Airport in the past years since the establishment of the GM Megawide Consortium? May we again ask Vice Chairman Mr. Ferrer to please answer the question?
As shown on the screen, again, we have created so much value in the airport since the handover in 2014. We opened Terminal 2 in 2018 for the international passengers to bring total airport capacity to 12.5 million from 4.5 million. We have also completed the renovation of Terminal 1 and opened the airport village in 2019 to raise total capacity to 17 million. We also opened the new international and domestic routes as well as partnered with domestic and international airlines. The retail area also expanded 5 times to 10,000 square meters GLA.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Again, this question is directed for you. So how is the Parañaque Integrated Terminal Exchange, or PITX, doing in terms of current passenger volume?
Passenger volume at PTEX has already exceeded pre-pandemic levels, reaching as high as 150,000 passengers a day from an average of 60,000 pre-COVID. This has been boosted by the commuting public's preference of a more modern and safer facility. Plus, new long-haul routes which are becoming popular to commuters going to provinces. This month, we launched our P2P to Davao in Mindanao via Roro, in addition to our current long-haul routes to Bicol, Mindoro, and Baguio. And soon, we will have routes to other regions, which include Region 7, that's Cebu and Bohol, Region 8, Leyte and Samar, and Region 9 in Zamboanga.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. We have some live questions from the audience. This one is directed to Chairman Edgar Saavedra. The question is, Mr. Saavedra, you mentioned that Megawide has gone through several government changes. How do you see your relationship with the new administration?
Well, so far, we in Megawide, in terms of our stakeholder management, we try to stay neutral, and we work with any administration, and we try to be friendly to all our regulators, no, whether it's an aviation, transportation. So far for this administration, I would say we're good. We are consistent with any administration.
Thank you, Chairman. The next question is, congratulations for winning the subway project. We are looking forward to a game changer in the public transport system. What other infrastructure projects are you participating in?
Right. There are still a couple of bids for the subway. I think it's only around 20 to 30% of the packages that has been bidded out. So we will still be actively participating the succeeding packages. And we are also participating in some projects pertaining to like water treatment plant, sewage treatment plant. So these are the infrastructure project. We prefer to participate in projects where it's fully funded, whether it's ADB, foreign or local.
Thank you, Chairman Edgar Saavedra. This question is for Vice Chair Mr. Louis Ferrer. Carbon market is a very interesting project in Cebu. Do you plan to do this in several other markets in the country, specifically in Manila?
Yes, there's interest, but we'd like to ensure that we have what's it? Yeah, we have solid experience in Cebu. As soon as we have that experience and a good organizational structure, maybe we'll explore other areas.
Thank you, Vice Chair. This question is for the chairman, Mr. Saavedra. Will it be possible for employees to buy shares from Megawide?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so that is so far is the last question. Please note that all the other questions will be responded via email. So please stand by for those.
So are there any further questions or matters to be raised?
Mr. Chairman, I am Christine Gonzaga, proxy for stockholder Lucena Bongolan. I move that the meeting be adjourned.
Mr. Chairman, I am Stephanie Chua, proxy for D. Haji Herrera. I second the motion.
Thank you. The ASM is hereby adjourned.
And that concludes Megawide's 2022 Annual Stockholders Meeting. Thank you, everyone, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.